Welcome to the Idea to Launch Show. My name is Lisa Zufall, and I will be your host today. I have a special guest in studio with me today, but before we get started, I want to do a special shout out to our sponsor, Studio Americana. Studio Americana. The studio that we are in today is in Golden Valley, and it is a podcast. It's a podcast studio, sound studio for whatever your needs are. So a recording studio is designed to help your business and organizations create high-quality podcasts, live streams, webinars, and more. If you want something professional, this is the place to do it. They make the process so easy. I could go on and on about how easy Ian has made it for me here. I just come into the studio and he takes care of everything else and gets the pieces up online for me. So if that's something that you're looking for, they are definitely the people to come see. They have consulting, editing, and publishing services, like I mentioned. They have access to voiceover talent. So if you don't want to do it, but you want to get your message out there, they can get something arranged for you. They are ready for any level of project. So whether you're just starting out or you want to take it to the next level, why don't you give them a call? Or better yet, go to their website, studioamericana.com, and schedule your free tour today. So thank you, Studio Americana. And now my guest is Mr. John Mackey. He is quite the guy, quite a long history in what he's doing, and we're going to learn a little bit more about him. But just so you as an audience know who John Mackey is, he is the foremost authorities in the United States on credit scoring, and debt collection defense. He's founder of CreditGenie.us, Master Credit Solutions, U.S. Credit Project, and Give Me Credit Media. He is a keynote speaker and a former radio show host of Give Me Credit, heard both locally and nationally. Author of the current book, Debt Collectors, Lies, Damn Lies, and Deceit, which is currently being sold on Amazon and Barnes & Noble online. I highly suggest that you get that book, whether it's for a gift or for yourself, and read through it because John has put a lot of stuff in there, and we've got a lot of special things set up for our guests today. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is a lot of fun. I enjoy talking about this subject for a variety of reasons. One of which is the lack of knowledge that's out there, and I just want people to start standing tall again. And by the way, I did tell you that I do have a face for radio. So when this is on TV here, see, on YouTube.
You're beautiful, man. You're beautiful.
I'm a beautiful man. Let's just go with that.
Well, and here's the reason why I wanted John to come on here. Not only is he Mr. Knowledgeable, but I believe that there's entrepreneurs and startups out there that might be facing some credit dilemmas, right, in order to take their business to the next level. And, why not get the best of the best to come in here and help kind of be that resource or that point person to help you. So whether you're getting a loan or you're just trying to build up your credit so you can, move your business to the next level, pull in the resources that you need.
There are a lot of people that are going the entrepreneurial route, whether it be a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, or, generally a small business. But what people don't realize is when they've come from maybe the private sector, they've lost their job, or they're trying to get a second income because of a loss of income in the former market that we had. Now they've got their credit that's stopping them.
Yep.
Most people really don't want to borrow money from their family, although that is a way to do something.
Right.
But that's not generally where people want to go. Mm-hmm. Now you're beholden to your family, and if you can't pay it back, what happens? Right. So
it makes Christmas really uncomfortable.
It does. It does. Firsthand. I mean, I know.
Yeah.
So people need to know about their credit. And what I found through my work with Master Credit Solutions and CreditGenie.us or Credit Genius is that the knowledge, even at a bank president level, believe it or not, do not understand FICO scoring. And FICO scoring determines where you go, where you live, what you do, what kind of financing you get.
What does FICO mean?
FICO is Fair Isaac. It's a logarithm or scoring system that was developed to, how I phrase it, is how to diminish the idiot factor in trying to stabilize who gets loans.
Okay.
So, for example, when you're buying a home, and let's say the credit score minimum for a particular home loan, specifically FHA, is 640. Mm-hmm. Typically, that's what it is now. Some are at 620, but let's say it's 640. Tell me it doesn't mean something if you have a 641 and you can get the loan, or 639 and you can't.
Yeah.
It means a big difference.
Right.
And so 2 points mean a lot. It means a lot to someone. So how do you get over that hurdle? And I can show you ways how to do that are really, when you think about it, are relatively simple.
So how long have you been doing this?
I was in real estate since '87, and I worked with people with bad credit back at that time. So you could say since '87, in strictly and only credit restoration, debt collection defense, it's been since 2007, working
Okay.
strictly in that area.
Okay. And so why are you so passionate about it? I mean, why do you do this? Because, in learning more and more about your business, it seems like, and people are going to hear the stuff that you go through.
Right.
It seems extremely stressful to me. So why do you do this?
I come from a blue-collar upbringing, and I don't like people being abused. And you find that more and more we've gone towards abusing people, whether it be on a corporate level, political level, wherever.
No.
You know, we don't need to go there, and I won't go there. But the problem is that people get abused all the time.
Yeah.
There are so many bullies in this world,
Yeah.
and debt collectors are one of them. If people would understand how debt is even purchased, how it's sold, how it's purchased, and how they come after you in the games that they play. If you were to understand the laws that pertain to this, you would know you have the ability to stand up.
Yeah.
That's what I teach people, is how to stand up.
We talked about some of the laws
Right.
around this. I had no idea.
Right.
And one thing that I would like to do at this point is play a little clip that we have so we can talk about the
Absolutely.
debt collecting a little bit more, and then what this scenario kind of represents.
Sure.
For me, this scenario represents, if being on the other line of a phone call from a debt collector can be extremely intimidating, and you don't have any idea that they may or may not have the authority to even contact you.
That's right.
Which I learned from you, and I was like, what?
How do you know it's not fraud? How do you know it's not fraud?
I had no idea.
Right.
And you've uncovered tons of fraud cases where
Yes.
people have purchased debt, or purchased the notes or whatever you call them.
Well, they don't purchase the notes. Typically what happens is that, let's say Bank of America or Visa or any other credit card or creditor will, if they've got a bad performing loan, they'll sell it, but they'll sell a book of debt. So they put all these debts together, and then they sell that book of debt to a debt collector. Well, that book of debt does not have the supporting documentation. So the way that the debt collector gets it is off of a spreadsheet.
Okay.
So they've got all the pertinent information, and it makes it sound like they know what they're talking about on the other end. Most of the time they don't. The whole point of the call is to get you on the defensive if you don't answer them, and if you don't play their game, and you don't have to.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You can stop the phone calls. You can stop the phone calls forever, but people don't know that.
Right. And you're so calm, cool, and collected on the phone. It's insane. And Ian, are we ready to play the clip? All right. Let's roll the clip.
Let's rock and roll this thing.
Okay. Here's the thing. With RM Funding being our client, they're not going to talk to you. They're going to redirect you right back to us. Okay? So at this point in time, as far as, why would you need to talk to me? Want to negotiate something or what?
Nope, not at all.
Okay. So then what would be the
Validation of
purpose of value? Okay. So the way to validate the debt is by doing the chain of title yourself, which means that you contact Bank of America and they'll tell you who the first agency that it was sold to was, and then it would go from them to agency B, agency C, and you'll go down the chain of title. You will get to RM Funding, okay? And all they're going to do is tell you, yes, they're suing you for it. This is who we retained to file this lawsuit.
So you're not going to tell me what the number is? I'm just trying to get their address.
Sir, that's your legwork to do, son. I mean, all you got to do is contact Bank of America. They'll tell you that they wiped their hands clean. They'll tell you, guess what? It probably went to 10 or 11 collection agencies.
They're not going to tell me that. They're going to tell me who they sold it to initially. From then on, they
all you have to
hands.
do is contact Bank of America yourself. Then you're asking it to do the legwork. You didn't pay us for that. That's your job. Okay?
So we've got another person on the line here?
Absolutely. I was monitoring the call because it looks like there's a conflict here. So I want to make sure that this is done.
Aren't you supposed to notify us when you're doing that, sir?
Absolutely not. You're calling us. We're not calling you.
Well, I
mean, if you want to trade laws, by all means, sounds like you're an attorney. We can go at it as long as you can get me some sort of representation and bar number. Can you get me that?
I've been real clear about that, as to that I'm not an...
Okay. Then in that case, listen.
Are you an attorney?
I don't need to be an attorney to practice law, sir. And you know that.
You don't need to
do you know that?
Practice law.
Let me ask you this. Do you know that?
First of all, we're dealing with idiots here. So
we're dealing with idiots.
We will take care of this ourselves.
You stay so calm until the end when he's like, I don't need to have a license to practice law.
My level of BS can go quite high, in other words, of accepting it. And the way that I set up a lot of these phone calls is kind of the Columbo, or the stumbling, bumbling idiot. And although I'm stumbling and bumbling, I'm not an idiot when it comes to this.
I love Columbo.
Oh, he was great. He sets them up and then he shuts the door. And that's what I did. And what I do in all these cases, I let them think I'm a neophyte in this and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I won't lie to them. I won't deceive them.
Yeah.
But I want them to explain what they do and how they're doing it. And in this case, when he's talking about a chain of title, please listen to this clearly. There is no chain of title on bad debt. It just goes in being sold from a debt collector to a debt collector to a debt collector. Okay, do they have to put it on a credit report? No, they don't. So there is no history of it from a chain of title. Okay, so me, as the authorized representative of the client, have a right to see the supporting documentation. Right. And if they do not have the supporting documentation, it must go away. Okay?
Wow.
It's as simple as that. And that's what people don't understand.
No. So when they talk about that, you guys are, the lady is telling you that you have to call these guys first, and then they will tell you to call these guys, and then sooner or later
the chain of title. There is no thing. She's just throwing me crap. Okay, she's shoveling horse manure on me. And it's not the way it works.
If you want to hear the full clip, I mean, I've listened to this thing several times because it is quite entertaining. And John just keeps his cool. It's amazing to me that you're just like, okay, well, and then you ask the next question and you just keep asking her to tell you, what you need to know, and very calmly. It's so much. It's kind of fun to watch, or kind of fun to listen to.
Yes, and I've got to be honest with you. It's a little bit easier when you're a disinterested third party.
Yeah.
When you're part of that conversation and you're the butt of that conversation, it's very difficult to remain calm.
Right.
So I understand that. But yes, and I tell my client, now understand people that we've got, it's a 3-way phone call. I do have the client on the phone.
Yep.
Okay, and I tell them not to say anything other than we're going to identify you so we're not violating any of the privacy laws. The other thing you have to realize and understand is that you too can record phone calls, whether you're on a smartphone or my business line, wherever. If with smartphones, there are recording devices out there, so you can record all the phone calls. If you don't need it, throw it away.
Right. And
that's what I do. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. As you can tell, I get excited. I get animated.
It's very passionate about the subject.
I'm passionate. I'm competitive.
Yep.
Okay. I simply don't do. Should people pay the bills that they owe? Yes. Yeah. That's not my point. My point is that there is so much fraud out there. I don't know who you owe. And when a creditor sells a debt to a debt collector, they do not have to notify the debtor that they're selling the debt. So, for example, when you buy a house and it's sold on the secondary market, there is a transfer of title and of information, and people know what's going on. In the debt collection world, that doesn't have to happen.
Right.
And more than likely doesn't happen.
Right. Because you said that they sell them off in blocks on a spreadsheet,
Correct.
which is
Correct.
crazy to me.
So Bank of America isn't going to send you a letter saying, because you're not responding to me, we're going to send it and sell it to Portfolio Management or Midland Credit or NCO 55 or any of those.
So if you are being hounded by debt collectors,
Right.
there's some tips to do to take care of it. The one thing that you should be doing is going out to John's site, creditgenie.us, and
Correct.
checking that out, listening to his stuff, reading his blog, buying his book would probably be, what wouldn't you say, the first thing that you'd like them to do?
Well, it's probably going to be the most informative, because you can, if you miss a topic or if you want to reread something, it's there. And a lot of these conversations that I've had with debt collectors are in there, not as an audio, but they've been transcribed.
But if you'd rather just have somebody come in and help you, call John.
Absolutely.
So instead of waiting until the debt collector calls, how do you maintain your good credit, or how do you build up your credit so you don't
people
run
get
into that?
into a debt collection situation for a variety of reasons, and most of which is not simply because they want to charge up their card and say, okay, na boo-boo, now come and catch me. That's not the way people are.
Right.
Most of the time it's because of problems. It's because of the way we've been programmed as a society to keep on buying,
Yep.
keep up with the Joneses.
Right.
So there's a variety of reasons why we get there. But one of the critical issues, and if you've got a good score or a great score, there are still ways to help get it higher. Now, why would I want someone with an average or a great score to go even higher? Because it still helps in what you are purchasing.
So
Or
how
what
does
you
your
are
credit
financing.
score affect you personally?
What do we want to talk about? Let's talk about the individual, and there's a lot of millennials out there that simply don't have credit or credit cards or a score. So what happens if you don't have a score? You're not suffering, are you? Yes, you are. And I'll tell you why. Because homeowners insurance, renters insurance, car insurance, it's all based on your credit score. And if you don't have a credit score, the insurance
You're a higher
industry,
risk, right?
yes, your insurance industry considers that a huge negative. And your premiums can be up to 400 to 500% higher.
Wow. Wow.
Think about that. So, whatever you're paying for your car, if you have no score, you're paying 4 to 5 times as much as you should be paying.
That's incredible.
Okay? I'm not saying this is right. Believe me, folks, I'm not. But you simply have to understand how the system works in order to play this system game. And
Yeah, if you don't know the rules of the game, how are you going to win?
how can you play?
Yeah.
And that's what I do,
Yeah.
is I teach people how to play the game. Stand tall, because you too can play this game.
Right.
You get a drink.
So credit scores matter, and the effect of having no credit will have a bad effect on the bills that you pay.
Correct.
Oh, you know what? When should we pay our credit card bills? So let's say that we're a startup, right? And we've started putting some startup stuff on our credit card.
Sure. You got a $20,000 limit on your
A lot of startups do that.
Amex.
Yep.
Right. At the end of the month, they get their bill, they pay it off, and that's great. The next month comes along, they pay it off. They charge everything up, pay it off one time once they get the bill.
Yep.
Here's the caveat here, folks, is that what the credit bureaus receive from the creditors is the billing statement,
Okay.
not what you paid on it.
Explain that a little bit more.
Okay. You get a bill for $20,000. You
Yep.
can pay X amount or you can pay it all off.
Yep.
You pay it all off.
Yep.
But the bill that went to the bureaus is saying you've maxed out your credit card.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even though you pay it off and you charge it up again,
Yep.
what's the next report saying? 100% charge off.
Yeah.
Or not charge off, 100% credit utilization.
Right.
So what you do is somewhere between the 21st to the 25th day of your marketing cycle, or the cycle, your charging cycle.
Yep.
You go online, you pay that off, use it like you normally do. From that on, you continue on. But now your ratio has gone from maybe 10,000 to, let's say, 5,000, or originally I said a $20,000 credit
Yep.
card. So now you're down to, let's say you pay it off down to 5,000, or you charge up the rest of that, up to $5,000. So now what do you have? You've got a 25% credit utilization. And what happens then? Beautiful score. Because I've seen
Interesting.
people lose 100 points just by having credit cards maxed out.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Well, you can lose. The better your credit score, the faster it is to nosedive.
Absolutely. One 30-day late for a person with a 800 score will drop you approximately 125 points. Now, if you're at a
That's
600,
not fair.
excuse me, it's the credit score. You can have your arguments with it, but it's based on how likely you are to tank.
Okay.
If you're at a 600, you've already virtually tanked anyway.
Right.
So you're only going to lose 25 to 35 points.
Okay.
If you're at an 800 and you make that one 30-day payment, that's an indication that something may be going on. So that's why you
Got
lose
it.
more points.
Oh, so
Do
pay
I
them
agree
off
with it?
5 days earlier.
That's helping with the credit ratio. But also understand that even if a credit card is making you pay a late payment, they cannot report that as a late on the credit bureau unless it's a month and a day beyond the due date.
A month and a day beyond the due date.
It's got to be at least 30 days late.
How do you remember all this stuff? This is a lot of information.
Well, it is, but when you've been doing it as long as I have,
I suppose it's like riding a bike.
maybe it's kind of like an idiot savant. I mean, maybe, I don't know.
So, okay. Let's do this. You've got medium credit, and you've got some debts that are floating out there, and one goes to collections. The debt collector calls you up, and they're like, we need the payment now, and you get scared and you pay it. What happens?
Your credit score goes down. Believe it or not, a FICO score or a credit scoring system is like a snapshot. It's a snapshot in time, and that time is right now. So everything that's surrounding the focus of today, whatever is closest to it is going to get the greatest attention. And if you've got a bad debt out there, even let's say one, and it's 6 months, a year old, it's gone out of focus, and your score has crept up, even though you do have that bad debt out there. Now you take that bad debt, you pay it off, you bring it clearly into focus.
Wow.
And even though it's paid off,
So what are you supposed to do?
here's what I say. Number one, don't pay it off. Challenge it. Find a way to make sure that item
Because
is yours.
chances are it's been sold so many times that it might not even
have the documentation for it.
Well, not only that, but they might have. You don't know that it's actually yours.
Oh,
at that point.
absolutely.
You know, I want to. You brought up an interesting company, Equifax, and they've been in the news recently.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
So, what you want to talk about that a little bit from your perspective, what that means? I mean, a lot of scare and terror, I think, ripped through at least the interwebs, social media. With
Well,
this.
and they should have, and they're doing a good spin on it right now because it's kind of gone. It's not in the news cycle now, so it's out of sight, out of mind for many of the American public. I'm going to be putting on a presentation on Equifax from the beginning to the end, not the end, but the current, as to what happened, what's been going on. But there are breaches, store breaches. And let me just say this.
You know how many times I've had to be reissued a
Right.
card because
Of
I
a
get
breach.
a notification that they've been breached and my information has been compromised?
That's right. But let me ask you this. Does a store have to let you know that they've been breached?
You told me no. And
That's
I
right.
thought, yes, they would have to.
No.
Because I am their consumer. I'm their client.
Yes, but no, they do not have to tell you. The Target breach happened 3 to 4 months prior to it. There was another one, I forget the name of it. It was about a year before that, in which the breach happened. And it was right after the Target breach was where they notified the public of that.
Yep.
Where that breach from a year ago came out. Nobody knew. Nobody knows. Nobody has the obligation to tell.
Legally, they don't have to
No.
tell?
No.
That just seems wrong to me.
It does.
Why is that? Why can they pretend like everything is fine? And
Because we protect business. We protect big business. And, you know, it scares, you know, when we take a look at the chip card versus the magnetic strip, that's a whole nother subject. But Europe had that since 2007, 2008, and I wrote about it in 2011. Why don't we have it here? The problem is that until it becomes more cost effective for businesses to, how do I put this? It's more cost effective for them to pay the problems from the breach than actually to create this chip card, because the changeover was very costly.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to change over, it had to be more cost effective for them to prevent the breach than to pay off the breach.
So what is a good way that we can protect ourselves from these?
Don't shop. No, I'm just. I don't know if there is any way that you can protect yourself totally from the breaches. I think you have to know who to purchase from, what sorts of, how businesses do business, but you'll never know that.
Right. Because when the giants like Target and Cub Foods
Right.
and Home Depot,
Right.
Equifax, you know, you think Equifax has got to have a super tight system, right? Super tight because
You would think so.
Equifax, Target, right? They've got a full tech team, more than a full tech team.
That's right.
And it just makes you go, well, shoot, if I buy something at the local mom and pop shop, am I safer there because they're a lower target for
Right.
hackers?
Right. One of the things that anybody can do is if you get an email that you don't know about, they don't know where it's coming from, or it looks fishy, don't click on the link.
Right. Well, that's
because that's how they're getting some phishing stuff coming on.
That's email 101.
Yeah,
If
but
it
a
looks
lot of people
fishy,
do it.
Yeah, don't click on it, no matter what it says. If it says that a king just died in Europe and granted you $5 billion, but you have to click this link to claim it, don't do it. Not that I've ever done that, but I've gotten emails like that. And it makes me giggle a little.
Yeah.
So what are your top 3 tips for reclaiming your credit?
Number
Rebuilding
one,
your
if
credit.
you've got negative or derogatory items on your credit report, challenge them.
Okay.
If you don't know how to do it, call me. Okay? Secondly, if you've got good credit, keep it good. Okay? Number 3, if you don't have good credit, or let's say you've had a bankruptcy where you're trying to start over, well, no one will give you credit. How do you start over?
Right.
I do have a handout on my website that you can get. It's how to reinvent yourself.
Yep.
Is it possible to reestablish credit? Absolutely it is. And it's not going to cost you a whole lot of money.
And what's that called? Your the way to reestablish.
Well,
You have a term for it. I don't remember what it is.
how to reinvent yourself? Is that
Yeah, but what are you talking about?
Well,
in
we're
that
talking about
handout?
installment debt and
Installment. All
debt
these tricky
and
words.
revolving debt, which are the two different trade lines in which most of your credit is
Trade
based on.
lines, installment debt, revolving debt. Can you explain those just a little bit?
Well, an installment debt is a debt like a home, a car, something that's typically a fixed interest rate over a specific period of time.
Okay,
Revolving debt is like a credit card,
got it.
okay?
Yep.
And credit cards are what people get into trouble with.
Yep.
Most bankruptcies right now have nothing to do with credit cards. It has to do with medical debt, which is a whole other issue.
Interesting.
There's more medical debt happening right now, and they're becoming extremely aggressive on their collection matters.
Well, and there's actually, I'm going to just totally sidetrack right now. There's there's actually a startup here in the Twin Cities that is helping or working on a way to help folks figure out if they're actually being billed properly from the medical companies.
With the medical coding.
Yes, because the errors are astronomical.
Yes.
Are astronomical.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes when you get your medical bill, if you're not looking through it and you're just paying it, you might be overpaying that. But that's
Right.
a totally that's another
Absolutely
subject.
it is.
But, you have to, these days, you have to be diligent in everything that you're doing. And every
And
bill
people
that
don't
comes
have
through.
time.
No, I know that I don't.
And if you're dealing with a subject you don't know nothing about, how do you work with it?
My stuff is just set up, for my online banking. So it's done.
Right.
I don't know. So, this is great. I've learned so much from you since the time that we've met. And then just hanging around you, I've absorbed a lot of knowledge about credit. And so for the folks that are out there, if you are struggling in any way, shape, or form, or just want to learn more about how to up-level your credit, call John.
Right.
Go to creditgenie.us, go to that website, check it out. He's got lots of information out there, lots of resources for you. But if you're in a pickle, call him. Pick up the phone and just give him a call. Probably one of the nicest guys on the planet. The other thing is, go buy the book. It is out on Amazon. I will put a link in our posting. It is called, again, Debt Collectors, Lies, Damn Lies, and Deceit.
Right.
Debt Collectors, Lies, Damn Lies, and Deceit. He's got some transcripts of phone calls with debt collectors. He's got tips in there, everything that you need. So, again, John, thank you so much for joining us in studio.
Well, thank you for having me. I really
This was
appreciate
really
it.
eye-opening. I've learned a lot. I learn every time I'm with you, so thank you.
I enjoy it.
Have a good one, folks. If you like this episode, please like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you for the next episode.